Before you scroll, hear this. The world talks all day about loud power, fast love, public success, and being noticed by everyone. But the strongest woman in the room is often the one nobody fully understands at first. She is not performing, she is not begging to be chosen, she is not breaking herself into smaller pieces just to fit into places that were never built for her spirit. She walks in silence, yet her presence changes the air. She says little, but people feel something around her they cannot explain. Not because she is trying to be mysterious, but because she has stopped explaining her worth to people committed to misunderstanding it. And that kind of woman is rare, very rare. So stay with me, because this may speak to the quiet strength in you, or the kind of woman you have only seen once and never forgotten. She walks alone sometimes, but she never feels empty. She has discovered something most people spend their whole lives chasing. Peace, real peace. Not the fake peace that comes from escaping pain, but the deep kind that comes from finally coming home to yourself. There is something deeply powerful about a woman who does not need the crowd to understand her in order to know who she is. She moves through life with calm steps and a steady heart. She is not loud. She is not desperate for approval. She is not chasing eyes that were never meant to truly see her. She carries herself like someone already rooted in something greater, something firm, something inside her that cannot be easily shaken. She has learned that being alone is not a curse. It is a place of return, a place of healing, a place where her thoughts can breathe. When she is by herself, she listens. She listens to the truth under the noise, the emotions under the smile, the quiet wisdom under the pressure of the world. Most people run from silence because silence reveals too much. But she no longer runs. She stays. She lets stillness teach her. She knows that in those quiet moments, her spirit speaks with the clearest voice. And that is why she can walk alone without feeling abandoned. She is not waiting to be saved from solitude. She has turned solitude into shelter. Listen carefully, because this changes everything. A woman who can sit peacefully with her own soul becomes very hard to control, very hard to confuse, and impossible to define by outside opinions. She does not measure her value by praise, attention, or how many people clap when she enters a room. She measures it by something deeper, by how honest she can stay in a world always asking her to become something easier, smaller, softer in the wrong ways, louder in the wrong moments, prettier for strangers, simpler for weak minds. Her confidence is not sharp and showy. It is calm, quiet. It feels like the sea before sunrise, strong, without needing to prove it. You can sense it in the way she listens, in the way she pauses, in the way she refuses to argue with people who are committed to shallow thinking. She has outgrown the need to be constantly explained, constantly defended, constantly approved. When someone misunderstands her, she does not collapse. She does not shrink. She does not run after them with pieces of her truth in her hands. She simply lets them see from the level they are able to see. She knows not everyone has the depth to read what she carries. She wears her individuality like protection, not because she is cold, but because soft hearts still need strong boundaries. She is kind, but not naive, loving, but not careless, open, but not available to every hand that reaches. That is what makes her rare. She belongs to herself first. And once a woman truly belongs to herself, the world can no longer rent her identity for cheap. When others search outside for direction, she learns to trust what rises from within. She understands that answers do not always come through noise, debate, or endless opinions. Sometimes they come in a whisper, in a pause, in a feeling that says, "This way, this is your road." And she follows it even when it looks lonely, even when no one claps, even when the path makes no sense to people watching from the outside. Because she knows something many never learn. Loneliness and solitude are not the same thing. Loneliness is what happens when you lose connection with yourself. Solitude is what happens when you finally find it. In that space, she grows. She becomes clearer, stronger, more whole. She stops chasing what keeps running. She does not beg for what has to be forced. She does not cling to what has already chosen distance. She lets life reveal itself. She lets truth remove masks. She lets time expose what is real. And in that letting go, her true power appears. Not in control, but in release. Not in pressure, but in presence. She understands that what is truly meant for her will not require her to abandon her dignity just to receive it. So she stops chasing and begins attracting. She stops demanding and begins embodying. And somehow, the more settled she becomes within herself, the more unforgettable she becomes to everyone around her. People are drawn to her for a reason they cannot easily explain. It is not because she tries hard to be noticed. It is because she is at peace even when no one is watching. There is a quiet pull in that, a mystery, a calm force. While the world keeps shouting, proving, comparing, and performing, she becomes still. And somehow that stillness says more than noise ever could. She is not easily impressed by charm, image, or polished words. Life has tested her too many times for that. Her strength is not about never breaking. It is about learning how to rebuild with wisdom each time something falls apart. She does not hide her scars. She understands them. She carries them with grace because they remind her that survival turned into growth. Her story is not perfect, but it is real. And in a world full of masks, honesty shines brighter than perfection. There will be people who call her distant when she is simply at peace. People who mistake her silence for pride. People who think her boundaries are coldness, because they only understand love when it is easy to access. But she no longer trades peace for acceptance. She no longer offers full access to those who only come to consume. If this feels personal, keep listening. Because one of the most powerful things a woman can learn is that not every path is meant to be crowded. The rarest roads almost never are. Sometimes she looks around and sees people starving for attention, bending for approval, calling crumbs a feast because they are afraid to be alone. And she feels compassion, not judgment. She remembers what it felt like to crave validation, to feel unseen, to wonder if being chosen by others might finally make her feel valuable. But she also knows what happened when she kept handing her worth to people who could not hold it. She learned that once you discover the beauty of standing fully on your own, you stop begging for scraps of love from those who were never capable of real love in the first place. You begin feeding your own soul. You begin choosing what nourishes instead of what only distracts. She understands that being alone does not mean being unloved. It means being free. Free to think without pressure. Free to dream without permission. Free to grow without shrinking for comfort. Free to become everything she was meant to become without apology. That freedom gives her a rare kind of glow, not surface beauty. Substance, the kind of beauty that lives in presence, in self-respect, in the feeling people carry after speaking with her. She does not chase the spotlight because she knows light without depth is just glare. She does not want applause that fades by morning. She wants alignment. She wants truth. She wants a life that feels real on the inside, not just impressive from a distance. And that choice makes her uncommon in a world addicted to surfaces. She has tasted shallow living and found it empty, endless scrolling, empty praise, quick attention, temporary admiration. None of it fed her. It looked refreshing at first, but it only made her thirstier. So she stepped away from the hunger to be constantly noticed and began building something deeper. A mind with substance, a heart with discipline, a spirit with roots. When she listens, she truly listens. She hears what is hidden under words. When she speaks, she is not trying to impress anyone. She is trying to connect. She is not interested in empty talk that goes nowhere. She wants depth. She wants truth. She wants the kind of conversation that opens doors inside people. She is not afraid of pauses. She knows real connection does not always need sound. Sometimes the deepest moments happen in stillness, in eye contact, in what is felt without being announced. She would rather be deeply understood by one real soul than admired by 1,000 distracted eyes. That is why attention no longer controls her. She knows attention is cheap, seeing is rare, and she values what is rare. She values mystery, not performance, presence, not display, depth, not noise. You can feel it in the way she carries herself, rooted, grounded, anchored in something more solid than trends or opinions. A woman like that cannot be easily shaken because she is no longer built on the unstable ground of other people's approval. And when it comes to love, she is not moved by charm alone. She is not impressed by status, grand gestures, or smooth language. She sees deeper than that. She can feel the difference between someone who comes to stand beside her and someone who comes only to be seen near her light. She is drawn to depths, to intention, to sincerity, to people who think before speaking, feel before acting, and love with care instead of appetite. Her heart is not won by performance. It responds to truth. That is why very few people can truly reach her, and even fewer can stay. When a woman chooses depths, she naturally filters out what is false. Shallow bonds cannot survive around her for long. People who live by games often find her intimidating. Not because she is hard, but because she is honest. Her spirit asks for truth, and many are not ready to give it. So yes, she is often misunderstood, called distant, called hard to read, called too much by those who never learned how to meet depths with depths. But the truth is simple. She is not living on the surface anymore. To know her, you have to go deeper. And yes, there is a certain ache that comes with that kind of life, a certain loneliness. But she accepts it. She knows it is better to wait for what resonates than to settle for what only distracts. Better to protect her peace than to hand out access where there is no reverence. She guards her energy because she finally understands its value. Not everyone deserves entry into her inner world. Not everyone deserves her time, her softness, her attention, or her emotional labor. She gives with wisdom now, not from fear, but from clarity. She has learned that some connections are not meant to stay forever. Some are only meant to teach. And once the lesson is complete, she lets go with grace. No drama, no revenge, no begging for different endings. She releases. That is her strength. People wonder why she seems so calm, so steady, so hard to disturb. It is because she is no longer addicted to chaos. She no longer confuses intensity with love or noise with meaning. Her joy does not depend on being noticed. It depends on seeing clearly. She has learned that the most peaceful life is the one where you no longer wake up every day trying to prove your worth. She is not interested in standing out for the sake of attention. She is interested in standing true. Real power, she knows, is not how loud you are. It is how deeply aligned you are with who you really are. She does not try to fit in because she was never made to disappear inside someone else's pattern. She was made to bring depth to shallow rooms, calm to restless spaces, truth to places built on performance. And if that makes her rare, so be it. She would rather be unseen for who she truly is than praised for a version of herself she had to fake. Her love is one of her greatest strengths, not one of her weaknesses. In a world that often treats vulnerability like fragility, she has learned that loving deeply is not surrender. It is power in its purest form. Real love does not erase her, it expands her. It softens what pain hardened without making her weaker. It stretches her heart without breaking her center. She does not spend her love carelessly. It is sacred to her. It flows where it is respected, where it is received with honesty, where it is met with presence. She loves with awareness, not attachment. She does not chase love because she knows that love requiring pursuit at the cost of self-respect is not love at all. To her, love is not control. It is not possession. It is not fear dressed up as passion. It is presence. It is consistency. It is intention. It is the quiet way someone shows up again and again without needing applause for basic care. And when she gives her heart, she does not vanish inside another person. She has learned one of the most important truths of all. Love is not meant to complete her. It is meant to add beauty to an already whole life. That is why her love feels different. It does not trap. It does not demand. It does not turn into chains. It frees. It supports. It strengthens. And because of that, being loved by her feels both safe and transformative. It invites growth, not dependence. She sees flaws. She sees fears. She sees imperfections clearly. And still, when love is real, she chooses with open eyes. Her love is not blind. It is conscious. It is not weak. It is awake. She does not need to be needed. She wants to be met. Her heart is deep, but it is not easy to enter. No one can manipulate their way into it. No one can perform their way past her discernment for long. She does not play games because her love does not live in strategy. It lives in truth. If she has to fight just to be seen, she already knows she is in the wrong place. And that is why she is not afraid to walk away. Not because she does not care, but because she refuses to settle for a love that asks her to shrink, beg, or betray herself. Sometimes the most loving thing she can do is let go. And when she lets go, she does it with dignity, without bitterness, without holding poison in her heart. Because she knows that clinging to what is not meant for her only blocks what is. Her love is fierce, but never forceful. Tender, but never weak. Steady like water. It does not need to shout about its power. It simply keeps flowing. She gives without calculating every return. She loves without building cages. She inspires healing without turning herself into someone else's rescue plan. Stay with me now, because this matters. The rarest kind of love is not the one that consumes you. It is the one that helps you rise without losing yourself. And still, she has boundaries, clear ones, strong ones, beautiful ones. She knows that love without boundaries becomes self-destruction. She has learned through pain that not everyone deserves access to her softness. So she protects her peace the way people protect treasure, because peace is treasure. When she feels energy that drains instead of nourishes, she steps back quietly. She does not always explain. She does not always argue. Her silence often says enough. When heartbreak comes, and yes, it comes, she does not let bitterness plant roots in her. She lets wisdom grow there instead. Every wound teaches her. Every ending reveals something. Every disappointment strips away another illusion and brings her closer to what is real. She does not build walls around her heart. She builds gates, and only those carrying sincerity, patience, and truth are able to come through. That is why her love remains pure. It is protected by self-respect. She knows love is not about losing yourself inside someone else. It is about finding yourself reflected in a presence that truly sees you. She is not afraid to love again, because she understands that love itself is never the enemy. The pain comes from attachment to things that were never real. Real love does not destroy her. Real love transforms her. It opens her. It deepens her. It reminds her of what is possible when two people meet without masks, without power games, without fear deciding everything. And her love does not stop with people. It reaches into life itself. She loves the smell of rain, the quiet before sunrise, the wind moving through trees, the feeling of being fully present in a small moment that most people rush past. She feels deeply, and that depth gives her life richness. Some may call her too emotional, too sensitive, too intense. But she knows emotion is not weakness. It is proof that she is awake, alive, and connected. It takes courage to stay soft in a world that keeps teaching hardness. It takes strength to remain open when closing off would feel safer. Yet that is exactly what she chooses. Compassion over pride, empathy over ego, forgiveness over revenge, truth over image, depth over noise. And when she finally meets a love that matches her spirit, she does not drown inside it. She rises with it because her love was never meant to consume. It was meant to create, to inspire, to elevate. That is the kind of love that outlives trends, moods, and temporary desire. It becomes timeless because it is built on something deeper than excitement. It is built on truth. And that is why the rarest woman in the world is not the one who is hardest to love. She is the one who knows how to love without abandoning herself. She is the one who can stand alone without becoming empty, give deeply without becoming lost, and walk through this noisy world carrying a peace that cannot be bought, borrowed, or broken. And if you recognize her, honor her. If you are her, never trade that quiet power for anything less than what is real.